I just been doing this new segment, bringing people on from that I've interviewed in the past, and just doing a live show with them and catching up because I don't know. I like doing the whole Sunday aspect, live show in the morning. So it's good to have a guest and a returning guest to see how they're doing.
Well, it's perfect timing. When I got your invite, I was the first thing I said, "Wow, Adrian's still alive with all the gangsters you interview." I mean, man, man, be careful. You got a gun next to you, right?
Yeah,
I'm
yeah, right
kidding.
here.
I'm kidding. But listen, I've watched many of your YouTubes, and I'm amazed at the amount. I mean, these guys, some are ruthless, badass, gangsters.
Oh yeah,
And hey, listen, man, I just took bets. I didn't
right.
break any bones or anything that I could
No,
remember, but you never know.
yeah, yeah. No, I mean it's good to hear it from like all sides of that we're involved with crime and stuff like that. That's the whole purpose of the show is just hearing a good comeback story and just coming out of the woodwork. A lot of people do want to and share their stories now, and I'm glad that you're one of them because you do got a good story and you're good at telling different parts of your life and just really relaying different memories that you've had in the past with some of these guys. And being a being a bookie for the Mafia, people think it's pretty interesting. So I guess maybe that's what we can get into here in
Oh, the
with this.
history of sports betting compared to where it's you
Yes.
see all these commercials, and I'm kind of upset about the predatory marketing. It's not like back in the 80s I could, yell out, "Hey, I'm a bookie. You want to get any bets in?" I mean, that's what they're doing on the television
Yeah.
basically. "Come on, get your bets in." You know.
DraftKings commercials, all that.
Yeah, with all celebrities, all people that have hundreds of millions of dollars promising you that you're gonna get rich betting sports, and, I'm real big, especially, with X posts that I put out. I mean, let's face it, the majority of sports bettors are gonna be long-term losers, and, we didn't tell our clients that back then. You
No.
know, everybody it's like a lotto ticket, man, you got the ticket, the dream's alive, and that's what sports betting was to a lot of people. Dude, it's still is today, the 5-team parlay. Man, I bet it for $100, it pays, thousands of dollars. Um, you really don't have a chance.
Yeah, I mean, that's just what it is. It's just going taking a risk and hoping you, get a little reward in that. I mean, some people do go hit it big, but then after that, I mean, they just try to go back and trying to get that money, but then you're spending and spending, but no. I can see how you guys made it a pretty profitable business back then.
Well, you know what? And the funny thing is that compared to nowadays with these sports book directors, and a lot of them who I know out in Las Vegas, and all these sports book companies. Um, the amazing thing is that we had a bunch of uneducated guys, street guys, a lot of them. That, didn't have a background, didn't, but we were able to run a sports book pretty efficiently, and now, you need to hire hundreds of people, if not thousands, for some of these companies, thousands. Um, and from what I've seen, they're running out of knowledgeable people in this business. You can see, there's in this whole country, there's just maybe a handful and or two handfuls of maybe 7 or 8 guys that are line originators that you can trust with coming out with a good line. Um, and it's a lot harder, Adrian. I have to tell you, sports betting today compared to when I was working in the business, the edge has really gone to the side of the sports book.
And that's what I was gonna ask you, like, maybe we can start with how it was back when you were doing it, and then go into what it is, once we start tying into the end of the
Sure.
story, go
Yeah.
into what it
Well,
is like today. So
Yeah, well, to catch everybody up, a lot of people know my story. Right after high school, at 18 years old, I had a friend introduced me to one of his friends, and they happened to be involved in sports betting. Um, I had knowledge of it because my uncle, good guy, but degenerate horse player, would take me as a kid to the track. He'd, put $2 across for me. So I got an early education. By the time I was in high school, I wasn't taking bets, but I was looking at the line, seeing what the Bears were giving, and I learned that the point spread by the time I was 13, 14 years old. The summer of 1981, a friend says, "Hey, I'm looking for some kind of job, make some money." But I grew up with a lot of Chicago outfit guys that were active. I grew up in a neighborhood that not only in my neighborhood, Park Ridge, Illinois, which is a suburb right on the border of Chicago, but surrounding neighborhoods. Fathers were um, big players, high-ranking members, and so I was kind of introduced to that life, you know, at an early age. Um, but anyhow, going back to the job, here I need a job, and all of a sudden the opportunity comes up. Hey, you want to answer phones downtown? They call it, right off of Greektown, not too far from the Loop. So I went to work in the warehouse answering phones, and that's how I started out at 18 years old. Um, Working with a bunch of other bookmakers that were controlled by you know, the outfit. They wanted to have guys close together so they see the money coming in because we're in Chicago. There's a lot of money being bet. And not to confuse it, there were a lot of independent guys that worked out of their homes or another office or barber shops that either paid the tax, the street tax, or a percentage. So our operation was kind of unique, kind of a boiler room operation. Um, I'm probably the first guy in Chicago to really talk about that particular operation.
I
You
think so.
know,
I haven't
we
heard.
try to keep things quiet. Yeah, people don't talk about it, but yeah, we worked for the same, what I would say, crew because um, differently than New York, as you know, which has 5 families, Chicago has basically what they call 1 family. And I've noticed just by paying attention to it, that over the years there's been a lot of infighting, and so these crews have kind of like separated, and all the old timers are basically gone. You and I were going over the Chicago organized crime chart,
Yeah,
before the
2023,
show. Yeah, and I mean, they got the boss, Solly D. I knew Solly D.
84 years
Having
old.
84 years old, he's the boss of Chicago. Um, I think the FBI's probably blown all our tax money. They don't know what the hell they're talking about, but he was a nice guy. He was always a gentleman to me. Um, but from what we both noticed, the Chicago outfit is just decimated. I mean, it's almost non-existent.
With the boss that you brought up, is there any specific stories or any little side stories you could talk about him?
He was really good at singing the theme song for The Love Boat. There was this yeah, bar that had, like, karaoke,
Uh-huh.
and every Thursday night, and a couple times we'd go there, we wouldn't sing, just to drink, just to hear Sally D sing "The Love Boat," and I mean, he was a great singer, he's like Frank Sinatra, but,
Really?
yeah, some of these guys had, fun hobbies. I mean, some guys like to sing karaoke, some guys like to cut people into pieces, it just depended what their preference was.
Wow. So you're around both of them.
Yeah, I mean, there was a time in the '80s where I would kinda, like, advise you, "Don't eat the ground meat."
Because you just don't know, man, huh?
Well, you gotta dispose of them somehow. Well, I've
Jeez,
heard some horror story. I don't know anything, but and I think the statute of limitations is well expired, so but
Well,
yeah, they put guys in the ground meat, mix it together at the
yeah,
Jewel or Dominic's, where the big grocery stores. Jewel's still around in Chicago. For those in
damn.
Chicago that are watching, no, but, they had butchers, like actual butchers that cut meat during the day and that cut flesh during the evenings.
Damn, I mean, so what for you when you were getting back into this though, like, with the guys that you got hooked up with, was there certain a group or certain, like, guy that you had to report to, like the boss of the certain faction that you came in line with?
Yeah, there was. Well, lucky for me, one of them was very close to the family. The other one was Don, the Wizard of Oz, Angelini. Him and Joe Spadavecchio, who was married to my aunt. He died in prison for sports betting. Because you went
Really?
to prison for that back then. Now you get
Yeah.
raises and stuff, but back
How
then,
many years did he go?
boy, I think they sentenced him to 5 to 7 years, if I'm correct. I saw him the day before he was to report. Had a party, wished him well, and nice guy. He was small in stature, 5'7", but sharp as hell. Him and Don Angelini, they were the brains behind the Chicago sports betting operation. They were no prostitution, no drugs, just sports betting, and these guys were considered arch criminals back then,
And
what
you're
I mean?
yeah, and that was the guys that you got tied with, and then when you got tied with them, that's what you became, and that's what you stayed. So, what was that conversation like when you went and had to sit down with these guys and apply for the job or get interviewed?
Oh man, they sent me to HR, signed me up for my 401k,
Yeah,
gave
right.
me my employee handbook. No,
No,
none of
none of
that
that.
happened. They knew my father. They knew I came from a decent family. My father grew up with all these guys in town. The Greek neighborhood and the Italian neighborhood in Chicago were right next door to each other. My father went to school with these guys. As a matter of fact, when my father got out of law school, he graduated from DePaul Law School. The, his friends, members of the outfit, but friends came to him and said, "Hey, George, we'd like you to, represent us exclusively." My father turned him down because he wanted to do workers' comp. He wanted to help people that were injured at work, not the insurance companies, but the actual injured worker. Did a lot of good things for um, a lot of people that needed the help. That said, sure, if a guy was in trouble, one of his guys got busted with, I don't know, 50 kilos of cocaine. I could get He's dead now. His name was Dino Savitas, and his bond was only a couple $100,000, maybe 100,000 back then. They found the cocaine on some ceiling tiles because they found a keychain with like 30 keys on it, and they did their investigating. They couldn't find the blow. So my father bailed him out of jail, and then they had an attorney. He was a mob attorney. I don't know if he's still alive, Adrian. I didn't check, but hey, listen, he's got to be 90 years old now, anyhow, if he is alive. His name was Jack Tatulis. He was an attorney for the boys, a good friend of my father's. We're of Greek heritage, so he was another Greek. He represented me one time when I got in trouble, not for bookmaking, for something else. Um, Nothing major. A felony, but I was charged with a felony. But after the judge took his $10,000 payoff that he requested, and my father forced me to sell my Trans Am so I could pay for it as a 17-year-old. This is before I started working for the boys. My father came home and said, "God damn it." He's like, "You're really effed up now. The judge wants $10,000." And so I sold my Trans Am. Actually, statute of limitations are over. Let me be honest. I took my girlfriend to a movie theater with my buddy hiding in the back seat of the car, and we went to see a movie, and he started the car and drove it away, and I reported it stolen. It got chopped, and I got more insurance money than I would have selling the car. So,
Damn.
did I commit a crime? Yes. Did they catch me? No. So, that's just my getaway story.
Well, I helped you pay off the a corrupt judge anyhow.
Yeah, they were all
I mean,
corrupt. All these guys were on the take. They still are in Chicago. Huh. You, you can't go see a city councilman for less than $10,000 cash in an envelope that he doesn't want to touch. He has his bag man touch it. That's the most corrupt city in this country is Chicago to this day.
yeah, and I remember
We,
you saying bringing that up to me before, just saying just and you would have experienced it like, throughout all the guys that you've talked to and that were involved with crime and the
oh,
different aspects of it, man. Though they
those
there
guys
was a
were
few.
bigger. criminals than anybody that I worked for. I'm telling you right now. And you know what, Adrian? We won't get political, but to this day, um, I'm telling you right now, to this day, it just amazes me of our representatives. They consider themselves our leaders in Washington. I don't know who our president is, Xi Jinping. I don't know, but there are representatives, but they definitely don't represent us. You know, or the homeless, or the veterans. We won't get into that now. It's just a solid, yeah.
Yeah, Steven here says John is a great man.
Oh, Steve's a great. Now there's another guy you got to get on.
What
He's
what does he
he's
got?
at Steve's in Buffalo. Steven's in Buffalo. I
Mhm.
don't know. I mean, I'm just saying he knows a few things about sports. Let's just put it that way. But contact him, see what he says. You know, I've had several conversations with him. He's a really good guy. Um, kind of involved in years ago, not anymore, but years ago, you know, was involved in the business I was involved with you know, that Buffalo crew, I believe, up there.
Oh, damn, I did not know that. I think I've seen him in the chats and stuff before quite a bit actually, so I didn't even
Ah,
know that,
yeah,
man. That's
I
pretty
talk to
cool.
mob guys all the time, man.
Yeah, apparently, man, they watch the show too. Yeah.
Ah, what do you think about what do you think about Joey Merlino talking about shows and stuff? I know people are always interested to see him, Michael Franchese.
Oh,
You
yeah.
know, these
I
guys are
know.
all out there. I love Joey Merlino. I hope he's watching. He's a good guy. Tough guy's got balls of steel, man.
It is very interesting to see, like, different guys coming out and see they all have their different opinions and their stuff to, throw out there, man, so,
Oh, we
he
all
yeah,
do.
yeah, so his show is, they interview people, but then he does they have different segments, I guess. I haven't really seen it because they moved over to Patreon and stuff, but yeah, I'm I'm sure you guys would get along pretty well.
Oh, absolutely. But getting back to your original thing, I don't want to, you know, I get sidetracked sometimes. But so I'm 18 years old, working in the warehouse. Everything's cool. At about 22, as you remember, I told you we talked about this earlier. You know, I mentioned to the guys, I'm like, you know, I think I want to go to college and play baseball. You know, and you know, one of the guys looks at me, he's like, "What do you mean you want to go to college and play baseball? You got a good gig here." So I followed my dream. UIC, Illinois, Chicago had open tryouts. I was a pitcher, a sidearm pitcher. So in 1986, I went and tried out. I was able to walk on. You know, I was a reliever. I was no superstar. Didn't get a lot of action, but at least got to play college baseball. At the same time, on the days off or the off season of college, I was still expected to be at the warehouse for work. So there I am on, and you know, Illinois Chicago was Division One back then, still is today. So while I'm pitching for the UIC Flames during the day, I'm doing night work at the sports book, you know, at the warehouse at night. Something that I believe the NCAA would look frown upon nowadays. They don't want
Yeah,
their athletes being bookmakers.
I would think so. Oh, I think it may cut out a little bit. Oh, there, you're back. Yeah, but for how we're doing this too is like since we did do the interview in the past, we don't have to go into like every detail of like your background and your story. I think another way we can get in, just to kind of speed it up a little bit is like so you started doing this and then you kind of worked your way into a position of where you became like I don't know, some kind of manager, I suppose, after a certain
I
point.
was the guy. I was the man. I was as like the equivalent of a guy that I've become friends with. He's the he basically runs Circus Sports. Jeffrey Benson. You know, I was the equivalent of Jeffrey Benson, but in the illegal end of sports betting. I pretty much oversaw the whole operation. I was 28 years old, anywhere from 26 to 28, where I just walked around. A lot of guys were jealous. You know, here's this Greek, and I'm working with a lot of Sicilian guys, a lot of Italian guys. some German guys, some Irish guys, you had all the factions in there, but there was some jealousy, plus I'm this young guy. A lot of the guys I worked with were older than I was. I mean, when I walked in there at 18 years old, guys are like, "Who's this kid?" I'm a kid.
Yeah,
Um, but
pretty
this
much.
kid got a good education in 3 short years and then went on to get a college education, um, which I didn't graduate. That's my one regret is I didn't graduate from college. Um, I went back for the money. The money was the lure of the sports betting. By the time I left Chicago, I was probably bringing in the equivalent of 400,000 dollars a year today. I was making some good money. And I had
Wow.
a young family. But as we know, to kind of speed things up a little bit, the FBI, we didn't have to worry about the Chicago police. Chicago police, and they've cleaned it up quite a bit since then, but back then, those guys were our security. These were off-duty Chicago police officers that knew exactly. Some were clients, customers. They knew exactly what was going on. They're out there providing security at the warehouse. And so,
You just had to give him a little tip on the
they got their envelopes. Everybody got
yeah,
envelopes.
yeah.
Envelopes were big. I mean, we spent more money on envelopes than we did on pens.
Yeah, I'm sure. It's too many to go out for
Oh,
everyone to get kick up and
stacks
everything.
in rubber bands, stacked that high envelopes with the guys. No, everybody had a number, even the cops. Somebody had the cheat sheet, with the names, but you didn't put names on anything. You didn't
No, you just had to have something to indicate it, like a number or something,
exactly,
just in case you get
exactly.
raided or something, or who knows what happens, man.
Which never happened at the warehouse. Now I know guys that got raided, as as we talked about. One of the and the book's called um, Balls, just as it sounds, Balls, the story of Eddie Trasher. He was a bookmaker here in Sarasota who, hey, admittedly, because it's statute of limitation, admittedly, after a couple years of moving down to Sarasota, Eddie and I hooked up. And of course, I was back to bookmaking again because this is a very wealthy area. We go to the clubs, golf courses, sit at the bar, have our rotation sheet down. Guys would walk up. What are you doing? Looking over this weekend's games? What do you bet? Oh no, I take the bets. We'd find so many customers. So then the money became great again. I mean, I came down here like ready to go sell cars or shoes or whatever. And I'm like, this ain't gonna cut it. So I went back to doing what I knew. And I met him. It's a really good book. A really good man, I wish he was alive. You'd have a great interview. He's a really sharp guy that was really interesting. I got all his stories that he told me. Um, his son's godfather is Lefty Rosenthal. I know
Really?
his son. Yeah, his son's and he showed me this beautiful. He asked Lefty to be his son's, to baptize his son and
Wow.
to be his godfather, and he showed me the Lefty had beautiful handwriting, and he showed
Really?
me the letter he sent back. It'd be an honor, Eddie, to be. I won't say my friend's name, but it'd be an honor to be his godfather. Your, best regards, your friend Lefty, and yeah, Lefty Rosenthal. I mean, he was the man out in Vegas that Chicago sent. He was a sharp guy. You know.
Yeah, I was gonna say that is, very interesting because it all kinda connects to what you were doing, like, with when he was doing it on, like, a really major level as well, man, so what
Ah, it was on me. Yeah, yeah, it was huge. Hey, to this day, it's no secret, you know, with the lure of credit. I mean, now that I've spoken to you, it's not like I can go out and, start taking bets again. The feds will be on my ass like flies on, well, you know what I'm gonna say.
yeah,
But they're out there. There's still so many. Right now in Las Vegas, from what I've heard from friends, just in Vegas, the FBI has a task force out there. Are you interested in something that's currently happening? Because this is pretty interesting.
yeah, let's
You
hear
want
it.
you want me to continue? All right, so
Yeah,
right now out in Vegas, they've caught guys. They've caught sports book um directors, sports managers, um, I believe over at the new hotel. Jeez, it's got me right now. Anyhow, there are more street books in Las Vegas than ever, only because people have gone, busted out, gone to Vegas, think they're going to strike it rich. Now they have no money. So what's the next thing is the lure of credit by street books. And and they're rampant. So there's this huge FBI investigation. Sorry, feds. I didn't mean to, expose you, but it's common knowledge. And they're going to be cracking down. They've got names, numbers, faces, and so within the next, I would say, 6 months to a year, you'll see some major indictments come down for illegal sports betting. Um,
in Vegas.
yeah, and then you can have me on again, and say, "Man, you were right about that, John."
It's like, how'd you know that, John? Where'd you get that information?
Oh, dude, I got connects with the feds. I get, come on. I know some retired FBI agents.
Damn, man.
They have 50 years. They're 50 years advanced in their technology as far as surveillance than we even have an idea of.
That's
Believe me.
insane. They keep it for themselves, I suppose, because then, get the criminals and stuff having it, then,
Well, they're
you know.
watching us right now.
Yeah, they're on here. They very well could be.
Oh no, they are. Trust me.
Here
There's a
here,
car outside my house. My wife just said, "Tell 'em I'll be out in a minute, honey."
Steve here says, "I think we, think
There's
alike."
Steve.
Yeah, he said, "We
Yeah.
have a lot of similar stories from back in the day." He said, "It's good to see John back on Adrian's show."
Uh,
He said, "We know the feds have the time and money and technology, and they don't
Steve, you
lose too
couldn't be
many
more
times."
right, man. Those guys, they got us beat. You and I couldn't say, "Hey, Steve, let's get back into the business." They'd pinch us in within a month. I mean, Steve's been retired for years. He made his money many years ago. As far as that, and he lives a good, quiet life. And but he's got some great. You're gonna have to have him on, Adrian. He's a good
Yeah.
guy,
You
and
think
you'll
you got
really
his phone
enjoy.
number or email or
Oh,
something, or
absolutely. I'll text you all his information if that's okay with Steve. If Adrian
yeah,
gets
he's watching.
yeah, I mean, hey, if Steve agrees, he could text me. Steve, let me know. I think you should be on Adrian's show. You got some great stories.
Oh, yeah. No, that'd be really cool. I think, another thing we could probably get into too is, so we were looking at that chart of the 2023 Chicago people, and there may be some of you that are gone or inactive and stuff like
There
that.
it
There you
is,
go.
right there.
There
Used
it
to be a
is.
lot more names on there, buddy.
Well, there's some that you
Excuse
can
me.
you said that you could mention. So, we mentioned Salvatore, Nick Geo was one of the another main one that you've
Yeah, my Greek buddy from high school, poor. I shouldn't say poor guy. I mean, he's doing 2 life sentences in Leavenworth for what alleged is alleged and what he was convicted of. I can't prove that he did this or didn't do this. Yet he was indicted and convicted of 2 contract killings. By the time he was 22 years old, he's been in prison since the time he was 23, and he's close to my age now, which is, I'm 60. He's probably in his late 50s, but he was a childhood friend, and he told me his dream was to be a mob guy, and I'm
uh,
like, well, I never heard anybody say that to me before, um, and I was like, wow. So I happened to introduce him to Jimmy LaValle, and he was brought in as part of a crew. Now, this is a crew that wasn't involved in sports betting. They got you can go back and look at Jimmy LaValle and Nick Geo, and you'll see articles about how they tried to, they were into extortion, money laundering, not so much drugs, street loans, just things like that. Enforcement is a big thing for them. Enforcement. They walked around with guns. I mean, these guys were. I mean, he's a Greek kid. He was a connected guy, um, and that's all us that weren't Sicilian or Italian. I mean, if we were worked for them, no, of course we were connected guys, but by no means was I a member of, La Casa Nostra, nor do I think I'd want to be because most of the guys I know all got pinched.
Yeah, that is pretty terrible. Just you were very low on that scale of that family and stuff kind of thing, just an associate bookie kind of thing. And that's
Oh,
not a
yeah.
bad thing at all by any means. It's
But
probably
I was
kept you
young and
alive.
dumb too, Adrian, I have to admit, especially early on, they're like, "Hey, man, keep a low profile, don't drive a flashy car," you know? I'd walk around with a few $1,000s in my pocket, drove a brand new 300 ZX. I mean,
Didn't matter.
what do they know? I mean, the flash was everything. And then I learned, man, no flash. That's gonna bring a red flag. You don't want any attention to be the old timers, they had it down right. They all drove used cars, they didn't talk on the phone. Um, it was like I've told you in the past, it was the young guys that brought down the outfit as it was known.
Yeah,
Um,
that's what I was gonna say. Because on that chart we're looking at, a lot of the guys are like 80, 70s, even 90s
oh yeah.
that are, they say are on this chart. So, like you said, whether it's accurate or not, who knows? But a lot of the people that they got in here are pretty old, man.
Oh, they are. I mean, I was amazed after you contacted me. I hadn't looked at the organized. I take a look at it every year, see if I
Yeah,
see any old friends or acquaintances.
old
But
friend.
and it used to be like I don't know, there'd be like 300 names, and you and I were counting, I think I counted to a little bit over 50.
Yeah,
And
if that.
well, you know what it is? All their businesses from weed to sports betting. I mean, this has all been legalized.
Hmm.
All the vices that you can make money with, well, the state figured it out. And they're like, "Hey, we can make money doing that." There's our guy
Yeah.
Shady. What's going on, Shady? Nice wins, man. He's the best
Well,
MMA guy. He likes to keep a low profile. The best MMA handicapper in the business. You like MMA?
yeah, I watch a little bit with my
All right,
cousin sometimes,
all
but no.
right. Yeah,
Thanks for tuning in,
Shady's an
Shady.
awesome guy, and he's in there. He's one of the best MMA, UFC cappers that I know out there. Because I still handicap games, and I still bet. I have some clients. It's fun. I do it for fun. I do it for the challenge. It's hard though, man.
Yeah, you got your expertise, and everyone has their individual expertise and trying to figure it out.
Well, as my buddy Dave Sherapan would say, nobody knows shit.
Yeah.
You try real hard. You know what you do. You manage your money. Use a dedicated bankroll. It's real important. What I learned from the warehouse, I've kind of taken, 43 years later. It's going to be 44 years later from working in the warehouse soon. I learned a lot. Like most parlays lose, and we're talking three teamers. Yet on television, you'll watch these sports book companies advertise, oh yeah, five team, parlays, and they're selling bullshit. You're
Well,
just
yeah, they gotta
lying.
get their money.
But yeah, exactly. And if you
Well,
look
that's why.
month to month, Adrian, month to month, their profits just increase.
Yeah.
Which means that month to month, more sports bettors are losing. Yeah, I just convert it the other way. You know?
When you think about it, it's like they have the celebrities go on there and do it, like you said, and people tend to follow what celebrities are doing, and that's how the people that are trying to market a product or whatever to get people interested in it, and then they're like, "Well, if he's doing it, he's doing something right. Like, this guy's famous and rich."
Yeah, well, the thing is, and I'm really big, is predatory marketing. You're out there. I mean, eventually it's going to be like the tobacco lawsuits. I mean, you knew it was bad for the people, yet you pushed it on them.
Right.
And the same
Exactly.
thing's going to happen with sports book advertising. These idiots just don't. And when I talk about idiots, I'm talking about the sports book companies. These idiots don't even see it coming yet, but it's coming. There's gonna be suicides. People I saw personally, people lose cars, homes, families, then everything. And it was
Mm.
sad. I wasn't happy to see guys. That's why I would never take bets from friends because I knew what the outcome was going to be. You're going to lose everything. I've seen guys down 50, 60 back then. I don't have it. Down, you're down $60,000. Well, that was kind of the outfit's business model was to get them down as much as you can. That way they're paying forever. The
Yeah.
guy makes a deal of $1,000 a week. You had the VIG at 60 grand. He'll never pay that off in his lifetime, but they'll get their 60,000 plus.
Yeah, and it just never goes away, it just becomes a monthly bill, monthly expense
Oh
out of all
yeah, man. I mean, I
this.
feel I feel terrible. I mean, I had a tweet out this morning to my clients. And I mean, the last 7 days, I lost $65. I'm devastated. Not really, but you know, I know guys that text me or, dude, I'm down 2 grand. I'm down three. That's nothing. I know guys that bet $10,000, 20,000, a
Damn,
100,000 a game.
that's
Now,
insane.
yeah, I mean, back when I was young and dumb, I was known to put 20 dimes on a Super Bowl. Nowadays, yeah, I'll make some big bets, but I'll keep those private.
Yeah.
Um, if I give it to somebody, it's you know, put 100 or 200 on it. I'm not gonna tell them I got 5 grand on it, but you know,
Yeah.
maybe I shouldn't have said that. I do pay my taxes. At least my accountant tells me I do.
Well, to go into a couple more of these guys, like, you mentioned, Joey Lombardo and his brother Rocco.
Yeah,
You knew him?
yeah. I mean, I know you're interested in that because back in the day now, eventually in Vegas, you know, the hotels, I mean, as everybody knows, were, you know, operated by the outfit, you know? I think I told you about that famous book called War of the not famous, but a book that I like. It's called War of the Godfathers. And it's the story about how Carlo Gambino and some of the other the Bonanos, Genovese, these crime families, they were ready to make a move on the Chicago guys in Vegas. They saw the money they were bringing in. Bugsy Siegel gets it all started out, but Chicago muscles it on there. And so the book basically entails about, the plan of the New York crime families to go to war with the Chicago outfit and take over Vegas.
That would have
Needless
been
to
insane.
say, yeah, cooler minds prevailed because there's one thing that's true. And I don't I'm not disrespecting what the guys in New York accomplished or the families accomplished out there, but Carlo Gambino steps in and says, "Listen, those guys from Chicago are freaking crazy. They're maniacs. We do not want to start a war with them. Let's just work with them." So I think, negotiations were done and you had some New York influence out in Vegas, but it was basically a Chicago town. So when they closed, the corporation started to buy all these in the 80s, late 80s, started to get involved in the casino business. And so there was a transfer of from it being mob run to being corporately owned. Chicago still kept a presence out in Vegas, but it was a lower level. Now they were dealing in drugs, prostitution, um, loan sharking, owning bars, restaurants, strip clubs. So they still had a presence out there, and they made sure they still collected their money. Um, uh, and so, like Joey the Clown Lombardo or guys like um, guys like that, they had businesses in Vegas that they ran as fronts for the business that they did, and which as we went through was had involved all that.
Yeah, so, I mean, with you, what was your encounter with them, like Joey and Rocco?
I Joey Rocco ran the Crazy Horse too. Now my wife can hear this, but that's okay because she knows. I mean, we've been married 33 years, so that was a great strip club in Vegas, So I went there, and anytime I visited Vegas, I'd go see Rocco. He comped everything. Private room. Wait, she's throwing a plate at me. No, I'm kidding. Um, Private room, whatever you want. You know, Drinks around the house. They treated me very well. But that was, one of many trips I went out to Vegas because you have to remember, you know, taking bets in Chicago. a lot of times we'd find ourselves, heavy on one team. And part of the thing in the old school bookmaking is we want to get rid of that overlay. So we're dealing with the guys in Philly, the guys in New York, the guys in Buffalo, Cleveland, Kansas City, all over the country because they're heavy on the other side a lot of times. So we had business arrangements where, basically trade. It's what they consider, trading nowadays. We trade money. We take that action, they take our action, and they were just out for the 10% because if you're in sports betting and you're keeping bets and you're heavy 50,000, 100,000 on one side, well, now you're just a degenerate gambler. No bookie wants to catch himself, with that much of an overlay. So, we dealt with all those I should say groups, may they be families or organizations.
So some of them were different, like the Kansas City one. Like, was that a group or like? Because that is interesting. Because I went out there and did like a mob tour.
I saw that, it was awesome when you went by those, the mob houses, and
Yeah,
man, it was just, like, desolate, it seemed,
I
like,
know,
wow.
all gone, long. Like it's just like just kind of abandoned areas and stuff now, and or
Yeah,
they
it's
just
really
turned into
cool, really
yeah,
cool. There was a Chicago influence in Kansas City,
yeah.
they had
That's
a
what I believe.
Chicago.
So yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there was a Chicago influence in Milwaukee, um, but, Chicago's big thing was Vegas and eventually Los Angeles, you know, I can't say to this day, as far as I'm concerned, the mob, the outfit, the five families in New York. I mean, they're a shell of what they were, you know. And then a guy gets bust. I mean, I've been arrested, and I know these words. I want to speak to my attorney. That's all I know. And they
Yeah.
could ask me 300 questions, and my answer is going to be, "I'd like to speak to my attorney." That's it.
That's
These other guys, well, what do you know? Huh, get 10 notebooks out, man. They're gonna tell you everything because nobody
mhm.
wants to go to jail anymore. Back then, it was a badge of courage. Hey, you did your 5 years, you came out, you're a hero.
We do have a question here. It says, he says, "How much does the outfit make from Vegas now, if any?"
Boy, that's something I wouldn't know. It's a great question. I mean,
It is.
I'm sure there's, some lower level guys out there that are in business, guys that may have walked away and gone independently. But as far as an organization, um, you know, I'm sure there's some presence. It wasn't like it used to be though, you know?
Yeah. Well, that I guess that's a good way to answer it because there's really since you've been out of it for 30 plus years, it's been a wouldn't have too
Yeah, and I'm
much
looking who's
insight.
asking the question, Gardino Inc. This is an Italian name over here. So I don't think they're making anything, my friend, to be honest with you. 0. We're trying to keep ourselves alive here, Adrian.
Steve here says he sent you a text just probably get so maybe saying he'd be okay if you gave me his information maybe. Boris said, "Hey, how you doing?" He
Oh,
said, "No more shines, Billy." Billy
no more
Bad said,
shines. Hey, I'm just having a party here. Just having a good time. Nah, you're a little out of line there. You know, keep them
he,
here. I'm just checking my phone. Oh, Steve's got some information. Oh,
uh-oh,
that's
what is
private.
it?
Sorry about that, Adrian.
No.
No, yeah, you'll have
Okay.
Steve on. He'll be great. Good guy.
Yeah.
You'll like him.
No, that would be really cool. There is a little side story too that you had mentioned to me before about your uncle getting into like an altercation with
That
the
was my father,
Spilotros.
actually.
Oh, your
Yeah,
father.
Tony Spilotro was a little kid, and my dad's younger brother was a little kid. But him and Michael were beating the shit out of my uncle Dino, and my father went downstairs and whacked Tony over the head with a baseball bat, even though my father is probably years older than him. Because
Jeez.
I mean, they're pummeling my uncle. So he cracked him over the head and split his skull. until they found Michael and Tony Spilotro in the cornfield, and I don't know if I, it's I don't even know if I read about it, but they cut off each brother's genitals and shoved it in the other brother's mouths. That's how they found the body. Now they don't tell that in the news story or anything else, but that's the true story. And they buried him alive. Those guys were still alive when they buried him. They were suffering, bleeding to death, but they were buried alive. Anyhow, until that news story came out, my father never told the story because he always thought that Tony's going to want to get retribution. Tony Spilatro's big mob guy. I mean, he's running Vegas now. He's a maniac, as we know from movies that we've seen. Joe Pesci plays him, and that whole movie Casino was based on Lefty Rosenthal and
Mhm.
the Hole in the Wall gang. Frank Collada, who used to run, he's dead now. I dated his niece.
Really?
Frank was always nice to me. As a matter of fact, we didn't do the official mob tour, but we got together and we talked about his niece, and he drove me around to places, and he was a real good guy.
Yeah,
Very respected mob guy. Did time in prison, kept his mouth shut. Old school, you
right.
know.
Yeah. Just recently died. I mean, maybe a couple years ago or
Couple
whatnot,
years
but
ago, yeah,
yeah.
yeah. But you know what? Maybe he was an outfit guy, but he was a hell of a good guy. As far as personally, my relationship with him, I felt a kind of a bond with him. He was just a good guy.
Did you ever know him on the street during I guess you would
Oh,
have because you
sure. Oh,
dated,
sure.
like
Yeah. Back then, yeah, sure. I see him. He was out in Vegas with the Hole in the Wall gang a lot. These guys would come back to Chicago and visit. And the one thing is, working in the warehouse, especially when I was younger, yeah, when games were done, we'd all go to a bar or a social club, and I was able to walk in. I mean, couldn't bring any friends with me or anything, but well, drinks around the house, and we're watching the games and things like that. So I got to see the who's who of mobs. I remember our last, um, the time we did this. I told you the story about Pat Marcy, and I dated his niece. Pat Marcy was quite the accomplished um, made member, up there. He was the liaison between the outfit and the mayor's office. I mean, both Mayor Daley's were corrupt as hell. They all are, bro. I'm telling you. I
yeah.
mean, you know, but
Wow.
they're
So, I
dead
mean,
now. So yeah.
you could talk a little bit.
Well, like you always say, yeah, they're dead now. Yeah. There's
What,
guys that are alive that I'm saying are dead. Oh, he's dead. No, I'm kidding you, Adrian.
let's
I
see,
want to be a comedian, not to, but I always had a dream of becoming a comedian. I kind of want to audition. We were talking about comedians. I know a lot of people. My uncle Leo says, "Don't worry about it." Oh, see, all right, I like
you know
that.
yeah, you should be okay.
Yeah, you see that Sebastian Maniscalco show and Ray Romano. It's called Bookie on Showtime. And then we talked about that movie Uncut Gems with
Yeah.
Adam
Adam
Sandler.
Sandler. Yeah.
The inaccuracies of these movies, they're supposed to be loosely based around sports betting, and guys are walking in, give me the over Garnett points, give me. That's not how it works. You think they put these $1 million productions together, they at least get, I'm not saying me, but somebody with some knowledge of how bookmaking actually works to, like, well, listen, you got to ask the bookie what the line is first. And don't say what are the Cubs, because the bookie's going to know you're betting the Cubs. What's the line in the Pirates Cubs game? You know, or what
Yeah.
when I bet, well, when I would call in, my bets moving in Florida, I had a separate bookmaker because I still enjoyed betting. And I'd call in, he's like, "What do you want? You like a certain game?" And for NFL, I'd say, "Just give me the rundown." This way the guy has no idea which way I'm going,
And
but
then
you know,
yeah, because then you just kinda give yourself away or to, put yourself in a bad spot by saying how they did in the movies, you think?
oh, absolutely, man. It's like a poker tell. I mean, they can read you. You just wanna be as bland as possible. Just, I need the number of this game. Usually, I'd switch it up, if I like the Cubs and it was Cubs Pirates, I'd say, "Well, what's the line on the Pirates Cubs?" Now, if I like the White Sox against, I don't know, the White Sox are horrible, but, for our friends in Chicago, my condolences. Um, but, you switch it back and forth, kinda, it's a game, man. I mean, that you know what it is? Uh, I even, tweeted it or posted on X. This is a psychological game these sports books are playing, and every sports book inside has what they call the war room. Well, who are they? They're in a war? Who are they in war? Who are they at war with? Well, they're at war with the sports better. That's why they call it the war room. Their job is to take your freaking money. And so I've talked to some really well-known guys. I didn't get their permission, but I mentioned them. But really, consider them Vegas sharps or just sharp sports bettors, and that's how they are. They're these people just they admit it's getting tougher for the sports bettor. It really is. They've got a
Mhm.
lot of advantages, algorithms, computers, guys that graduated from MIT, numbers guys. You know, I'm sitting here with, my computer, my iPad, and my phone trying to figure this shit out. These guys have a staff of 60 and they're trying to beat me. Who's
Yeah.
got the edge?
I know. It doesn't sound like the odds are too well in your favor, but you're able to yeah, what are you doing now? Like, cause you do run some like, you do run some sports betting and stuff now legally, not
Yeah,
illegally
well, yeah,
anymore.
now I'm working on it's been a dream of mine for 5 years, if you don't mind me mentioning it. So, I've
Yeah.
been working on with a partner on a website that's going to give from the professional to the novice gambler. I'm not there to tout picks, but to provide information, education, live lines, um, contributors from all over the world. I've been contacted from guys from India that are involved in cricket, to guys in Australia with Australian rules football, Asian soccer, European football as they call it. And the website is wagerglobe.com, and it's going to cover sports throughout the world with contributors. So while I'm sleeping at night, guys will be doing podcasts regarding Australian rules football, cricket, and during the day, my partner and I, and many, many, I've already gotten the yeah, absolutely, I'll contribute from some pretty well-known guys in this business. So it's wagerglobe.com. Right now, I just got the page up there so nobody accuses me of parking the website, but it's under construction, and I'm telling you, it's not cheap. To build a website properly, it's not cheap.
Yeah, that's what I hear, man, and, like, for you to go about it, you had to reach out to someone, some tech guy to get this
Oh,
going for you?
yeah. Oh, yeah, 'cause
Yeah.
you know what? We want it to be state of the art. We want it to contain resources that gamblers can use, um, from the live lines to certain guys that have algorithms to certain guys, and lucky for my partner and I, we get to handpick these people. So, we're going after the best of the best that we can find, and somebody better might come along, and that's the way it works. But
Yeah.
it's going to be really cool. We've got some great people behind us that are into this business, that are more than happy to assist us to get this make this a reality. So sometime we're going to launch sometime in the late summer. I talked to one of the web guys the other day. It's a lot of work, Adrian. I'm telling you, man. I thought it was, oh, just put the web page together. No,
No,
you
no
need
way.
this and links and more than it's above my pay grade.
Yeah, you just give him whatever information he needs, and he does the work. Yeah, because it is they do have basic websites that you can pay a subscription for every month, but if you want a really good one, like, you really
Yeah.
gotta put in the money to get it done, man. Like, it's not as easy as you just, getting an app and that's it. There's a lot of
No,
shit
it's
that goes
not.
into it.
Yeah, and you know what? You wanna contribute to so these guys, there's a lot of new people coming in. We're in, like, the bottom of the 3rd as far as sports betting goes, so it's early enough, and there's gonna be no site like it out there because people we're like I said, we're gonna cater to everybody, and, we're not doing it to get rich. We're doing it to promote ourselves as far as guys that will provide information to others.
Mhm.
There's a way to beat these books, but it's a long process. You're not gonna get rich doing this, like, quick. Yeah, you hit a 5-teamer, you know? Put Pick one today, you might hit it, Adrian. I mean, I know damn well I'm not even betting today. I wanted to make sure we did had a good show, which I have to admit, man, it's always great being on with you, man. You're a great interviewer, and I've got some fun stuff to talk about, and, it's just a pleasure.
Yeah, no, and I appreciate you coming on and sharing your story. It didn't have to be like a one-on-one interview. It's just we're just having conversations because
Yeah.
we did the interview, but now it's just shooting back and forth, talking about different topics with these lives. So it's not like a interview or whatnot, but it's just I guess what they call a live podcast.
It's a
But
live podcast, and, you gotta come down to Sarasota, Florida, and we'll sit down, we'll have a few beers, and then I'll tell you some really good stories.
oh yeah, man, off air.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, no, I appreciate you coming on, John, and sharing, some of your stories and these little side stories and stuff and how you got involved with sports betting and how it worked and a lot, man. So it was good, man. I'm glad we were able to link it up and make it happen again. So thank
Well,
you and
listen,
thank you.
Adrian, continued success to you. I'll keep watching it. Keep having these dangerous guys on because those guys interest the hell out of me, and I really appreciate you asking me to come on with you, my friend. You're a good guy, and like I said, continued success to you, my friend.
Yeah, well, thank you, John. I appreciate it. Same to you. Keep doing your thing, man, and just stay strong and keep getting healthy because both of us we lost quite a bit of weight since
Oh, yeah,
last
man, I
year, man.
dropped 33 pounds, you dropped 40
40.
pounds.
Yeah, yeah,
Man,
man.
I got a 1 pack going right now.
Oh
I'll
yeah.
never I think that might be a busted rib, but it looks like a 1 pack, so
So
I'll never get the
count it.
6 pack. Yeah, man. But
We'll
we
take
hey,
it.
listen, you gotta come down to Florida, brother. I'll take care of you.
Yeah,
I mean,
well,
in a good
that'd
way,
be cool.
as far as, take you out,
Yeah,
take you to the strip club. I'm
oh,
only
you didn't
kidding,
watch that
honey. No,
plate.
we're not going yeah. Got in trouble with
No.
my wife again. Shh.
Yeah, keep it
She
on the down low.
Yeah, she's gonna watch anyhow. I'm exposed.
All right, everyone. Well, thank you for watching another episode for this live Sunday. Please share it with anyone that you think will enjoy it and comment any. Maybe John will come and comment if you guys have any questions after the show or whatnot. Or there's also an interview I dropped this, I believe, Wednesday with a guy that was affiliated with the mob and he became a cop, New York police cop. So please check that
Oh my
out.
god.
I know. It's pretty
I'm a
interesting story.
There's a cop. I wanna be a mob guy. "But you're a cop." "Yeah, but I wanna be a mob guy." "I gotta
Well
see this."
oh, wait. He was a mob guy, a mob affiliate that became a cop.
Oh, yeah. "Oh, I'm
Other
a
way.
mob guy, but my dream is to be a cop." And we know what they told him. "Oh, we're all for it."
Let's do it, man.
Oh, he was detective 2 weeks later.
He worked his way up. Yeah, he did. And he did some undercover work and took down some mob guys. They did a big, it was called Operation Wasteland, and they went undercover and took down, I think, 2 different families he went undercover on, and it was a big deal, so, yeah, it was pretty cool. He got to
Well, if I
interview
find
him.
any other, Steve, we got, but if I find
Yeah.
anybody other, I'll do some scouting for you and look for some retired mob guys down here in Sarasota.
Oh,
There
yeah.
are some. And
I
we'll get
hear
them on
that.
the show, Adrian.
Yeah. Let's do it, man.
All right, my
Just
friend.
keep me in the loop, John.
You got it, brother.
Alright. There we go.